You're listening to the Kilcullen Diary podcasts, stories in sound from a village grown bigger. Hello, I'm Brian Byrne. This is Kilcullen Diary, and this podcast is from my short stories collection. I wrote this story while reflecting on where and how humankind might go as our planet wends its way to becoming uninhabitable for us. It poses a question: will technology save the species? As will become clear, it's written from a female viewpoint. Mother. Mother always looked after me. I could take for granted things I didn't understand, and later, when she judged I was ready, she explained them. I was always comfortable with that, probably because I don't remember any other way. There is much I don't remember, but about which I know. Mother recorded everything from the time I was born. As I grew older, she showed me the recordings, explaining at each stage to whatever level I could understand. So I know everything about myself. And about before myself, but that's for later. Just now, for the first time that I remember, I'm faced with knowing and not knowing about what is to come. It's scary. I'm walking the field. I don't have to do anything. The servants take care of that. But I like to walk the area, and it's good for me. I know that because, well, yes, Mother told me. She also made sure, as soon as I could understand, that I knew I should never wander. When I was small, the servants tethered me. As I got bigger, the perimeter kept me safely in. I understand the dangers of straying beyond. Out there, under the ochre sky, there's nothing for me yet. Servants have been out. They've brought back pictures and samples. Sometimes they haven't come back. It's a harsh place. I've watched the storms looming large over the mostly desert and the far mountains. I'll go there one day, but just now I'm needed for something else, and I must not be put in any unnecessary danger. The scary feeling has receded, but there's another emotion, one that gives me a warm feeling. I've asked Mother, and sooner or later she'll have an explanation. She's really very good at explaining, and her knowledge is all-encompassing. But she considers carefully every situation involving me, and then decides the level of information to impart. All-encompassing. Impart. I know, probably not phrases and words that a 14-year-old would have used before. But I'm what used to be called homeschooled, and what she has exposed me to in the process, history, language, biology, or astronomy, has always been more than an old-time school. Astronomy for a 14-year-old? Yep, it's all about where we are, isn't it? The servants trundle around the field, doing what they always do, tending the plants grown from the seeds we brought, maintaining the perimeter, harvesting the crops and storing them. It's all part of the plan to cater for a growing need in the future. I'm part of that. Mother says it all came together much quicker than expected. Something to do with the wavelength of the sunlight and the time of the planet's journey around the star. These are also why our plants are not quite like the pictures of them from before, but they thrive in their new form. They keep the air fresh and clean and are nutritious. I've felt the stirrings, and there have been other changes. My belly is more round. The regular bleeding I'd gotten used to has stopped. The other day I put some of the dirt from under the crops into my mouth. It tasted bad, but I wanted more. Mother says people in my condition sometimes yearned for bizarre tastes, like coal, which I know about but have never seen. They also become, the word she used was cranky. I looked it up. It means being difficult. I was never a difficult child. Being the only one, I've never had competition for what I was or what I did or what I wanted to do. But what I did was always within the boundaries. I knew from early on how important it was that I survived. A big part of Mother's duty was to make sure I understood that, which is why I'm actually not cranky while I'm pregnant. I know, pregnant at 14 sounds wrong, according to the old, but it's part of the plan. I'm different physiologically because of where I am. I'm literally older than my years, to use an expression from before. It has to do with the wavelength of the sunlight and the planet's annual journey around from where that light comes. Yes, I know, I've mentioned those before. I'm the first to be pregnant here. So, you ask, what about Mother? That's a very technical thing. Mother never was technically pregnant. The scary part isn't about being pregnant. Mother is reassuring on that. It has been natural for aeons. It's the responsibility that scares me. I remember the particular lesson from my homeschooling. It was history. It was to tell me why I'm here. They finally realized that they had screwed up royally, that there was no recovery, that their time was reaching the end. The lessons were all carefully programmed into Mother's computers. They believed that if I became, and if I survived, that they would be replenished. And that's my responsibility. I'm here because there were visionaries, people who knew there wasn't going to be a future on Earth, and only a marginal and uncertain one on the neighbouring moon and nearest possibly colonizable planet, Mars, both long before diminished to barren. Earth, the planet, would still be there, but uninhabitable to the species who'd failed to deal with what they knew would make it a place where they could no longer live. In the end, faster than expected, it was going to be overpopulation, unsustainable consumption, and massive pollution of a fragile environment. Wars too, but they would only be symptoms. Although it was clear from the lessons in Mother's computers that those same wars, and the weapons that would finally be used, would speed up the process. My baby is born. He's only the second after me on this planet, one of several chosen in far galaxies by astronomers because they might support our life, to where mother ships were sent. spaceships without people. People could not have survived the distances or time. The motherships had on board robotic servants, which could build the initial settlement dome and drill for the water which the astronomers had deduced would be available. They could also build more of each other, using 3D printing technologies from plastics derived from the early crops. As I understand it, the development of something called artificial intelligence had been fast-tracked by those who sent us here. What I call Mother is the original ship. Her structure is my home, her computer and data my teacher. There were also preserved materials for human reproduction, along with a robotic womb in which I was conceived once Mother had judged that the settlement could support my life. The servants gradually developed the place and along with Mother looked after me until I was old enough and aware enough to learn things for myself. Among those things, at the appropriate time, how to inseminate myself to produce a natural baby. There was a reason why they started by producing a female. I'll have other children of both genders. Eventually they'll produce their own and I'll no longer need to. Mother named me Eve. There was a history lesson which explained that, although it emphasized that the story was myth. And now I know what that warm feeling is. I read that it used to be called mother love. My son is sleeping. I look out at the night sky beyond the dome and wonder, where did the other motherships get to? Whether there is another real mother somewhere out there, in one of those pinpoints of light, wondering the same things as I, and sometimes also wondering what had finally happened to where we came from. My son whimpers in his sleep. I reach in and soothe him. Soon I'll be teaching him to talk. It will be strange talking to another human. I'm Brian Byrne. This is Kilcullen Diary, and that was one of my short stories. Thank you for listening.